I hooked up with someone I met on Tinder, and the next morning I noticed something that made my stomach drop. A few months ago, I matched with someone on Tinder. Her profile looked completely normal. Cute pictures, short bio, nothing unusual. We started talking and the conversation flowed really easily. She replied fast, she laughed at my dumb jokes, and after 2 days, she suggested we meet. Normally I don't meet people that fast, but everything seemed normal, so we agreed to meet that same night. She told me to come to her apartment because she didn't like loud bars. When I arrived, the lights were dim and music was playing. She looked pretty similar to her photos, maybe slightly different, but that happens with everyone online. We sat down, had a couple drinks, talked about random stuff. She was a little quiet, but I just assumed she was shy. Eventually, we started watching a movie, and pretty quickly the night turned into a hookup. Nothing seemed strange at the time. Eventually, I stayed the night. The next morning, I woke up before she did. Sunlight was coming through the window, everything looked completely normal. But when I looked over at her sleeping, something felt different. Without makeup, her face looked sharper. Her jawline looked stronger than I remembered. I tried to ignore it. People just look different in the morning. But then she mumbled something in her sleep, and her voice sounded deeper than it did the night before. Now my brain started connecting dots. I told myself I was probably just overthinking. Then I noticed something sitting on the nightstand, an ID card. I know I probably shouldn't have picked it up, but curiosity won, so I looked. And my brain just froze. The name on the card was completely different from what she told me, and the gender marker said male. At first, I thought it had to belong to someone else, maybe a roommate, so I quickly put it back exactly where it was. A few minutes later, she woke up. I tried to act casual. I asked, "Hey, whose ID is on the table?" She looked at it, then looked back at me, and instead of looking shocked, she just sighed. Like she already knew this moment was coming. She said, "Yeah, I guess you saw that." My stomach dropped. I asked what she meant. Then she explained everything. She said the pictures on Tinder were older photos. She admitted she didn't tell people the full story before meeting them, because whenever she did, they stopped replying. She said most people never gave her a chance. Now the room just felt incredibly awkward. Not because anyone was yelling, but because the situation suddenly made sense. I asked her why she didn't just tell me before we met. She looked at me and said something that stuck with me. She said, "Because then you probably wouldn't have come." And honestly, she was probably right. I grabbed my clothes, packed my things. Before leaving, she apologized for not being honest earlier. I told her something simple. You probably should tell people beforehand. Not because I was angry, but because surprises like that never end well. I walked out of that apartment feeling like my brain had just gone through a factory reset. And ever since then, I've looked at Tinder a little differently. Question to you viewers. If you discovered that the morning after a date, what would you do?